If 2020 taught me anything, that is life is too short and you should do what you love. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first video that you're watching, then welcome. I don't know how you came across this channel, but I want to use the very first video on this channel to talk about my biggest lesson that I have learned in the 28 years of my life. On this channel, as the name suggests, it will be a lot of rambling. Rambling is one of my personal weaknesses, and on this channel, I do not plan to improve on that. I will keep rambling and hopefully help you focus on what matters to you the most in your lives. Why should you listen to me, or what perspective do I bring? My name is Audrey. I am 28 years old. I have spent majority of my life in China. So I did grow up in China. I spent my first 18 years in mostly Shanghai, but I also spent quite a decent amount of time in the countryside as well. Then I moved to the States for college. So I went to University of Virginia for my undergrad, where I studied commerce and also minored in drama. Very random, but I can talk about that in a later video. After college, I moved to New York City to pursue my career in management consulting. 4 years later, like many other consultants, I moved on to business school. This May, I graduated from Wharton, from the University of Pennsylvania. So now, having my MBA degree, I have actually started the career that I have wanted to pursue, which is in marketing in luxury fashion. So that's my life story in a minute, and there are a lot of things that I have learned along the way and a lot of questions that I still have in my head that I am trying to figure out as well. So I hope that you can join me on this journey and also share your perspective on the topics that I will be talking about on this channel. This is not your typical motivational life coach or career advice or how to succeed type of channel. There are already plenty channels like that exist, so feel free to check out those channels if that's what you're interested in. On this channel, I want to make things a little bit different. I really want to leverage the comment section. I want each video to be the start of a conversation. Now, I will be talking about a specific topic, but then I really hope that in the comment section, we can have a conversation. I can have a conversation with you to hear about your perspective or your stories on the topics that I will be covering. It could range from how I got into business school, what business school had taught me. It could also be from my experience from management consulting. It could also be me being an Asian and international. Still, I'm not an American citizen, but how do I deal with my dual identities and really forming my values in the past 10 years in the States. Many topics, but hopefully all of these topics give you something to think about, inspire you to share some of your stories, because I am a firm believer that the only way to learn, one of the most important ways to learn, is to hear different perspectives and different people's stories. So me, myself, being the only voice is not enough, and I want this to be a platform for you as well. I have oftentimes find myself loving sharing my perspectives with others. There are a lot of people who have asked me in the past to share with them, hey, how did you manage to do this? How did you manage to get into that? But I want this to be more impactful than just having those one-on-one conversations. Of course, I will still have those one-on-one conversations, but I wanted to start this channel to talk to a broader audience, and let's see who else out there also is looking to gain some different perspectives of how to think about life, how to think about career, and how to just live a more meaningful life. Today, I want to talk about the topic of how I found what I love to do. And I can honestly say that even though I have only sort of restarted working after business school for a few months, I think marketing in luxury fashion is my calling is something that I love to do, at least for the foreseeable future. And I will be sharing with you how exactly I got here, because it didn't come with a blink of an eye. It took 28 years for me to land somewhere that I am very happy with. For this video, I did write down some bullet points because I know if I just start rambling, it could just go nowhere. And so I want to share with you 5 points that really helped me find what I love to do and help me feel fulfilled and satisfied. The first thing I did was looking back to my childhood, and I would highly recommend, if you haven't done that and if you're wondering how to find what you want to do, what you love to do, is to first, please, instead of imagining what you would ideally become, let's say 10-20 years from now, let's take a step back and look backwards first. Let's look at our childhood. What are some defining features? Now, for me, for example, one of the most vivid memories I have as a kid was to wear my bed sheets as a cape and pretend I was a princess. And that had happened oftentimes when really nobody else is around, because I feel like I was in my own world. I was imagining kind of scenarios that I was wearing these fancy princess dresses to, and I would be having internal monologues to myself. And that kind of started to plant a seed of my passion for fashion. And I think that really has something to say about how 28 years later, I am so passionate about fashion. I am still putting together outfits, styling different things, trying different trends, and working in the industry, because genuinely every time now that we don't go to the office, but last summer I did do my internship at the company that I'm working for right now. When I could go to the office, genuinely the most exciting thing for me was to wake up every day and go to the office to see all these cute outfits that the girls at the office were wearing, and also dropping by the creative section and look at what inspirations they got. These little things did add up, and they did make me feel really excited to work in that industry, as superficial as it sounds. I think it really ties back to my childhood. So I would recommend, think about a few stories or a few things that happened in your childhood that really left a mark on you, that you can still vividly remember. Think about those emotions that these activities brought you, and perhaps your passion or your calling lies in one of those things. The second thing I want to talk about is that it is okay to take a detour. Even if you know that, for example, for me, fashion was my thing. I knew that I love fashion from when I was very little. I didn't go straight into fashion. I didn't decide to be a designer or go to a design school, probably also because I didn't really have the talent. Whatever reasons or the cultural influences or the people around me were doing, instead I did what many Asians do, and that is to learn math, business, all things analytical, and pursue a management consulting career. I did not regret that, even though I don't think I will go back to consulting ever again. That is because that I knew that I am accumulating the experience that will be helpful no matter what I do in the future. And that is another reason I think that many people, and I personally agree, that consulting or investment banking, these professional services, are probably the best first job out of college. They are really for people who don't really know what they want to do later on, but wanted to have all the skills ready for whenever that opportunity comes. And for me, that was management consulting. I did learn so much that I still use today in my luxury fashion job. The third thing I want to talk about is to stop listening to others. This might be a little bit contradictory to the purpose of this channel, but I don't think it is. I am giving you a lot of advice through these videos, but I'm also going to tell you that you don't have to listen to me. Take everything that I say, all the conversations in the comment section with a grain of salt. Because at the end of the day, it is your life and only you know what truly excites you, no matter how silly it is. For me, it was as silly as going to the office and seeing beautiful outfits. That's not a real reason to, pursue a marketing job in luxury fashion, but it worked for me. And find that silly thing for you. Don't necessarily listen to people who might stereotype you. For me, I grew up in the Chinese education system. I have all of the skills to be an engineer or a mathematician, maybe even, or a banker. But that's just what the stereotype is telling you. That actually is what a lot of people around me are doing, but that doesn't mean that I have to be part of them just because I share similar backgrounds and similar skill sets. The other thing is, when looking for jobs, a lot of people will tell you leverage your strength and take advantage of what you're good at. And yes, that is true, but if you have something that you're more passionate about, for me, I would not pursue, let's say, a data scientist job, even if I am good at analyzing data or math. People may think, why are you working marketing if you don't come from this country? How are you going to market to the US market if you didn't even grow up in the culture, in the environment here? And for me, it doesn't matter, because for marketing, the most important thing is you have to believe in the product you are marketing. The stories behind the design has very little to do with your upbringings, and it doesn't matter if I didn't watch all the Disney movies that most people watch growing up here. It didn't matter if I didn't have so much time to do all those extracurriculars in middle school, high school, etc. You really have to, really have to believe in yourself if that is what you think you would want to do. And this is when you close your ears and do not listen to others who tell you to switch gears or do something that you are supposed to be good at. My camera just died. I must be rambling on for a while now. Going back to my third point, you don't have to listen to people just because they think they know you, just because they are really close to you. You have been perhaps listening to their advice growing up. Once you figure out what you want to do, I think drive is going to be so much more important than the tactics or than what's easy to do. If you have to drive and you are pursuing something much harder to do than something that's very accessible for you. So for me, it would be much easier if I stayed in consulting and do what I'm good at than switching my career. Even at business school, not many people, in fact, I would say probably less than 5 out of my 860 person class are seriously considering a career in fashion. I knew that it was not easy to do and perhaps not beneficial for me to do, because you don't necessarily have to have an MBA degree, and such an expensive MBA degree, to pursue a career in luxury fashion. But I believe in the value I can bring, and fashion is my biggest passion. So that's my calling, and therefore I'm willing to spend more effort and to go out of my way to land a career there. The fourth thing I want to mention is to be patient and create your own luck. Now, this more applied when I was back in management consulting, where it was already a pretty competitive, hard industry to get in. Once you get in, I didn't know that you would also have to essentially compete for the best, sexiest projects that you could do. So it took me a while to get there. I started off doing probably the most boring, low value added project, to later on being able to advise a top Fortune 500 company, advising their senior leaders. At the time, I think I was probably 22, 23 years old, and I was telling these 50, 60-year-old executives how do they move the company forward. This is a much longer story that I will probably include in a future video, but the point here is if you treat the simplest task with the highest respect and really aim to excel at every single task that was given to you, you will be surprised how that is going to help you tremendously in your career. And even the simplest tasks, they're not as simple as they sound. And even the most mundane work might still be challenging at times, and you are still going to learn a lot. But if you stop trying, if you say, okay, this is just boring, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, and you stop coming up ways to make the simple things even simpler, that's when you are sending the message that I have stopped trying and I do not care about improving myself. And I think that is the worst that could happen, because once you stop improving yourself, your luck will not come. Even when you could have the most amazing opportunity, your peers might have grabbed that opportunity instead of you because they have been improving themselves, whereas you are complaining about the simple tasks you had to do. The fifth thing I want to talk about is try it first, then say it's not for me. Kind of similar mentality to the last point. This is specifically talking about if at work you are not doing a project or a task that you are passionate about. Before even doing that task, don't just say that, no, that's not for me. I'm not going to do this because I'm not interested and I do not want to waste my time. Switch your mentality. Give yourself a chance to try those things to see if you are truly not interested. Because I can't tell you how many times when going into a consulting project, I thought that would be so boring, but I ended up presenting to the CMO, presenting to the CEO. Seemingly the most boring topic, but that was fascinating for them. And I got so much sense of accomplishment, but also learned so much throughout the process that if I didn't try something, I could not say that that was not for me. And especially that's more relevant, I think, in the earlier points of your career, because your time is going to be more and more tight as you gain more experience, because you'll get busier. And that's when you just have to say no, without trying. But when you're early on in your career, I would highly recommend to try as much as you can, take all the opportunities that were given to you, and you will be surprised how much you could learn and how much that could actually help you when you land in a job that you love. Because the worst thing is you finally land your dream job, but you are not prepared for it. So let's start this conversation. Tell me in the comment below, how did you find what you love to do? Have you found what you love to do? What are your puzzles, questions, any story you want to share along the lines of finding what you love to do? And I would love to respond to as many comments, hopefully all of the comments that I can in the comment section and in future videos, because like I said, I don't want this channel to just come from one voice. I will be featuring comments in all of my future videos so that we can keep the conversation rolling and we can turn this into a wonderful, positive platform where we share so many perspectives about things that matter in life. Talk soon.